Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamey Daddy channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So a big deal with video games is the atmosphere in which the game is set. This usually makes a huge impression on players, and a game like the Division 1 and the Division 2 at least requires a player to spend 1,000 hours in order for them to maximize all of their monies that they spent on this game. So a very big deal about this franchise that really did hook its player base was the very first game, which had a very dark and grim atmosphere. Now, location is actually also another big deal that we learned from this lesson with the Division 1. The Division 1 was very successful because it had this one thing that was going for it, and then atmosphere followed. So the first thing that went for it was location, 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 in terms of it was set up in a realistic, or I would say a depicted New York City that actually did look a lot like New York City that had actually gone through a catastrophic event. And then that atmosphere of it being a dark, snowy, or maybe daylight snowy place was a very, very grim reminder that players were actually going into this world to try to make it better. I think this played a psychological role, however you want to look at it, on the player base. People who spent thousands of hours playing this game. I played on PlayStation 4 for a long time. Then I moved on to PC and I played for a very long time. So the atmosphere is basically something that was etched in my mind as well. Now, don't get me wrong, unlike a lot of other people, I actually do like DC as well. I mean, yes, maybe about the same rate that I like, New York in terms of the Division 1 New York. But to be very honest, I'm not necessarily a big fan of the Division 2's New York. I don't know why. I like Division 2's DC, but the New York side of things is still not yet something that I've adopted. I wouldn't say I don't like it, but I've not necessarily adopted it very well. So I actually hardly go to New York on the Division 2. And so, in my opinion, I think there is an opportunity to reclaim this aspect of the Division franchise that's actually been very, very critical to its success. And that's the atmosphere, and that can be reclaimed in the Division Heartland. Now, Heartland is a very interesting package so far. If you were to go ahead and say, okay, what do we know about Heartland? I think the only thing that you can kind of point to, and I don't even know if you can give it merit, is or are the leaks that came out from the Heartland pipeline. So there was actually a closed alpha test that, some people were able to participate in. And at the end of the day, some of the, images got out and all of the above. Now, one thing that we didn't see in the image was a lot of detail in terms of what the world would look like and all of that. So I think this is probably where we can actually say, hey, the Division devs over at Red Storm, Terry, y'all worked on the Division 1 to a very large extent. We wonder if at some point you cannot at least reclaim some of the things that made the Division 1 a very solid entry. Now, I'm also saying this because on the horizon, there is another survival game that looks a lot like the Division 1 that's trying to at least appeal to the Division community on some level, and that's the game The Day Before. Now, we got to see some gameplay, we got to see some highly rendered trailers, but hey, highly rendered trailers, we know that song in the Division community. I think gameplay will probably be something that really does set them apart, but you can tell that they're vying for the Division agents and the Division community, as well as some other communities who play other third-person shooters, which is fine. And a lot more third-person shooters allows for more competition, potentially, or, you never know, increases the quality of things that we get as these developers are trying to at least maybe one-up each other. We may benefit from it, or at least, just kind of show what they're made of. And so, in my opinion, this is what I think we're, going to have to, just basically see come from the Heartland crew, because this opportunity, in my opinion, belongs to them. In terms of the Division 2, there also seems to be another potential opportunity as well to bring back this dark, grim, snowy atmosphere as well to the game. And that's probably by incorporating, what you will call some kind of a phenomenon in the Division 2 that will bring about agents being able to just, go ahead and just go with exactly what it is that they're going to be seeing. That's basically a snowy New York that, will allow for them to be able to explore and have a very, very huge, in my opinion, responsibility to go do some kind of a mission or something of that sort. And that could be something that is temporary for a time period, or for a mission, or to basically fulfill an objective. There's nothing out of the question, if you were to ask me, why Massive or why, Ubisoft will not allow for something like that be out there for players to enjoy. So these are very important aspects of video games, and I think the Tom Clancy universe still continuing can actually leverage this and benefit a lot from this. The Division 2 right now, from an art perspective, from an aesthetic perspective, from an environmental perspective, is actually not bad, but I don't think it really has etched or ingrained that kind of, feeling that the Division 1 did bring to the game. And I think Heartland will benefit a lot from actually taking that upon themselves and bring into the player base. Because, if you think about it, though, what would the player base, be enjoying in Heartland? Whatever it is the devs bring, and also that fact that the developers who have worked in the Division 1 kind of understand and know a little bit about their community. I think this is something that's basically going to serve everybody. But I wanted to just go ahead and talk about it and just highlight it in a video. I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you think it's important enough? Or do you think this is something that is negligible? Or you think it's something that, you just probably want to see Heartland just do its own thing? Let me know in the comment section, and hopefully we'll talk in another video. Appreciate you guys so much. Peace out.